everyone, welcome to another Music Talk Tuesday, and today I thought it would be interesting to sort of ask a question, and that question revolves around if auto-tune changed the music industry or is continuing to sort of change the music industry. There has been a huge sort of divide, I think, when it comes to auto-tune and as to whether or not it is a useful or detrimental tool when it comes to producing music. But in case there are those who are not exactly and entirely sure how autotune works or what it really is, basically it is an audio processor that uses a phase vocoder to correct pitch in vocal and instrumental performances. And I thought that was interesting that it includes instrumental as well, not just vocal, because usually when people think of auto-tune, they usually think of people singing, but I guess it can correct instrumental mistakes as well. So that's really, in a nutshell, what it is. It's supposed to correct errors that end up happening within showcasing a musical performance, whether it be vocal, instrumental, or a combination of the two. Now, this, I think, has changed sort of the music industry in a way that is similar to other forms of technology that came out earlier, like the synthesizer that's supposed to be an electronic musical instrument. You know, that sort of changed things within the 70s era when it comes to showcasing music. But I think autotune has sort of really brought out this kind of conflict that I think exists now within the music industry. And there are some things that I think that both sides of the argument that do hold some kind of weight in sort of justifying or not justifying the use of autotune. But basically those who say that autotune is a bad idea are those that are saying that it basically allows those who don't have talent to have talent, because it corrects you and makes you sound like a good singer, even though you are incapable of singing. And that, I think, or incapable of playing a musical instrument. And I think that's the real main reason why a lot of musicians have been angry at this, because it just means now that anybody can be a singer and or a musician, and the traditional way of establishing whether or not a musician was good is if he had talent within him. You know, this goes back to even to the days of Mozart. You know, can the person execute a musical number well? And that's all sort of changed now, since anybody can do these things on their own and ultimately produce a product. And that's, I think, really the main reason why there's a lot of musicians that are angry at autotune and what it sort of has done with the industry. But those who are on the positive end of the autotune argument, who believe that it is not a detriment, they say that it is sort of a mediator, as you could say. So when there's a lot of and again, music really is, in a sense, experimental, especially in its early stages when you don't really have a song or a musical number established. there's a lot of going back and forth, and there's a lot of debate that ends up occurring. And autotune has made it so that it is easier for those people who do value music to figure out what would be the best way to approach a song, or vocals, like what would sound the best. That's, I think, something that's really what people from that are on the positive end of autotune are saying, is that we're not really using it for in its intended purpose. We're using it as a means to garner up ideas in order to gather an understanding of how we would like to produce our music. So they're using it for different means. So that's kind of their argument with autotune. And I think it's sort of obvious that autotune has changed the industry, but as to whether or not it's changed it for the better or changed it for the worse, I think is fairly debatable. It's just one of those things where you have to sort of look at what the intended purpose is behind somebody using autotune, I think. And I think that's really what it comes down to. And I think that's why it's garnered such a divide, because it is really a breakthrough in technology. Because the fact that we can now have a machine that makes it so that everybody has this supposed talent that only a certain amount of people initially had years and years ago is really something that's made it seem like that music in and of itself is very open to pretty much anybody now. But I think autotune also could be used in a way to benefit even singers, to see like what they're not doing well in, and how they can maybe improve their vocals as well. So I think, I mean, even now, they could probably just have somebody, have their voice, auto-tuned, and see how many mistakes they make. I mean, it's probably a perfect grading tool for people who are scoring somebody on vocals or instrumentals. So again, it could kind of be used in that sense too. So its intended purpose might not be one that I think a lot of people within the music industry would agree with, but I think still at the same time it could serve as either a good teaching tool, or it could be served as a way of figuring out a way to mediate the instrumentals and vocals of a performance.
Still having a hard time fixing my Jeep, so I'll need a ride tomorrow morning.
Okay, you're welcome. Sorry, that was just my dad. So I think really what can be summed up by this whole auto-tune debate is I think anybody can interpret it however they want to interpret it. But for me personally, I don't really have necessarily a side. I more judge it based upon the artist's intentions, really. And the fact now that you can even download autotune now, like on your computer. Literally, when I was doing research, like through just a Google search, that um, there was autotune that you could really just download or buy, and it's become fairly accessible, I think, too. And I think that's probably also a reason to why people are so riled up maybe against it, because it's now. And I go, well, yeah, I mean, everybody can, you know, um, make music, but not everybody can make it really necessarily um, on their own. You know, there are those who are able to do it and have that distinct talent to them. Um, I just think that, you know, human error is a lot more interesting. Um, Again, I'm not saying that I wouldn't listen to an auto tune product, but um, what I am saying is that I think that it depends really on the artist's intentions. And at the same time, even though when certain artists I feel are auto-tuned, I can still sense that there's something that's it to me. I think usually at the even though the vocals might be perfect, usually the instrumentals suffer um, because they don't really they're either too repetitive, or they don't provide a real sense of depth or emotion. So again, I think this you could argue, I think autotune has led to maybe some mediocrity within the music industry, but at the same time, I think it really all comes down to um, the artist's intentions, the artist's um, motivations behind the use of autotune. That really does spell out really what they're trying to do at the end of the day. So I think that's really, though, the ultimate thing to take away from it. I don't think it's evil, but at the same time, I don't think it's something that should be um, that should be used constantly. But I think it's something that can be used as a useful tool. It again just depends on your intentions and what you're using autotune for, and you know what's if you're even going to use autotune into the final product. I mean, there's some that could, you know, just tinker with autotune but not even use it when they make the final um, recording. So again, there's a lot of things that I think go into this debate, but I think it's definitely a worthy conversation to have. But ultimately, I think that's really all I can say. But if there are any questions, comments, concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great day, week, month, and year. And I hope to see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye now.